All right, ladies of the tribe, let's go ahead and talk about it because here's one thing I know. I know that a lot of people say that they want love, but if they were to go inwardly and really reflect and get honest with themselves, many people would be willing to admit that they cannot handle love. Wanting love, saying that you're ready for it, even preparing for it, that's one thing. But being able to handle love is something completely different. I know that a lot of people pray for it, dream about it, make lists about it, the whole nine, right? But very few women ever prepare for what true love really entails. And y'all know I talk about kingdom love a lot. Of course, that is I always say, that winning combination of God's love, self-love, and real love. But it's something very special. It's something very beautiful. So what I want to talk about in this training video is what it means to become the woman who can actually sustain healthy love. I'm not talking about the fantasy. I'm not talking about the highlight reel, none of those things. I want to talk about the kind that's rooted in nothing but peace, growth, partnership, accountability, the whole nine. And even like I was saying, many people say that they want it. They say that they're ready for it. I can admit I was that person. And I will also admit to you all that even with being a relationship coach who has built my coaching business around doing this for almost 10 years now, helping countless women when it comes to dating better, when it comes to healing, when it comes to actually, getting a husband, getting a fiance, getting a boyfriend, a partner, significant other, whatever. I know that a lot of what I teach and what I provide and how I coach, I know it works because, first of all, I always say spirit-led. First of all, many of it comes from God anyway, but outside of expertise, outside of Bible, I'm thankful that I have been blessed with a large community of women who can provide testimonies to what I have in fact taught them, that I am the reason why they are in these healthy relationships and these healthy marriages and stuff like that, right? But the funny part is that it didn't come naturally. It didn't come easily for me when I actually got into my own relationship. I didn't realize that there were still some triggers and some things like that were present, right? Because I'm sure some of you get it. When you're an entrepreneur, you're just building. You're creating and you're doing things. Even when it comes to ministry, God will give you things to put out and for you to share. But I didn't realize how a lot of the things that I was sharing and teaching and coaching, that I had not truly taken the time to apply those things myself. So it's like, I was like, okay, you know what? I am ready to date. I am ready to get serious. I am ready to settle down. I'm ready to put myself out there and do things differently, having a vision as far as what I needed in a man, what I wanted in a man, how that person would balance me out, all of those things. Yet getting in my relationship, it was like, wait a minute. Are you ready for this, sis? Did I take the time to actually become the woman who can handle healthy love? And we definitely had some moments in the beginning where it was some learning curves, if I'm going to be completely honest. So yes, the relationship coach herself did struggle a bit, but again, I spent years helping you all. So I can attest to the fact that it's one thing to say that you want it and to even profess to be ready, but it goes a little bit deeper, right? Love isn't just something to receive. I think what many people don't realize is that love is actually something that is meant to be stewarded. Like, you have to steward love at the end of the day. And I feel like this is a conversation that matters because, as I always say, healthy love, real love, kingdom love, it is beautiful. But beauty without maturity can easily become brokenness if you are not careful. So many of us, we were taught to pray for love, but we were not taught to prepare for it. That is why patterns end up being repeated. That's why you can end up meeting good men, but an unhealed habit, unhealed hearts, fears, trauma, control issues, all of those things can end up sabotaging what God is trying to bless. I've been honest before when I've spoken about there have been a few men that I met in my past that were great men, but I had some issues that caused me to sabotage. There were some men that God brought into my life, and looking back, I can actively see where God was trying to do a thing, but I was not ready for it. I was not prepared. And the reason all of those relationships ended, they were all on me. So see, we can't just want love. We have to grow into it. So there are some mindset shifts, right, that are necessary in order for you to receive healthy love. First of all, you have to go from desperation to discernment. Because see, when you, and I know a lot of people hate the word desperate. I get it. It's one thing to want something. It's something completely different to deeply desire, to crave it, to feel aches and pains, where it can even lead you to depression, hopelessness, tears, that being the main or only thing that you pray about, fast about, talk to God about, feeling envy anytime that you see somebody with that thing. Those are signs of desperation. And desperation will make you chase what looks right, whereas discernment is necessary because it helps you choose what feels right to your spirit. That's why I talk about discernment a lot. And I want to say it's course 6 in New Heart Academy. I go really deep on how to use discernment when it comes to dating so that you will choose wisely and be free from the shackles of the past pains and choices that you previously made. See, desperation says, I just want someone. I want to be in a relationship. I want a good man. But discernment is what says, I want a man who is aligned with my peace, with my purpose, and with my values. I actually had a matchmaking discovery call yesterday, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt, she was already pre-screened, but even in that discovery call, hearing her pretty much say what I just said, she was like, I want a man who is aligned with my purpose and one who is aligned with my values. And we had already gone through her values. So I was like, okay, this is a woman who is ready. Yes, we can absolutely work together. But when you go from desperation to discernment, you stop settling when you realize that peace, like that's the real chemistry. We talk about chemistry when it comes to like butterflies in the stomach, and there was just this connection. There was just this attraction, the way he made me feel. That's the false chemistry, right? Like, and that's what I don't want you to have. I want you to realize that when you feel peace with a man, when you feel safe with a man, that is the kind of chemistry that is worth chasing after. Another mindset shift would be going from fantasy to foundation. See, we all know that fairy tales taught us that love should be magical, it should be whimsical, it should be rainbows and butterflies. Listen, real love is maintenance. And unfortunately, and this is why in coaching I go beyond just dating coaching and how to interact and communicate and red flags and boundaries. All those things are important, but I like to make sure that my clients also know the foundations that are necessary for a healthy relationship. I don't care if it's God ordained. I don't care if God sent him. I don't care about the confirmations. None of those things matter, because they do matter. But even with those things, there are still going to be issues. There are still going to be trials. There are still going to be disagreements and things. So it's understanding that real love is maintenance, because it is two different people from two different backgrounds, two different thought processes. And even if they're healed and whole, they are still showing up, trying to make things work together. But what's great about having a good, healthy, solid foundation is when you can show up with maturity, when you can show up with knowledge, when you have shared core values, when you're great with accountability and vulnerability and things like that. You don't need perfection. You just need to be aligned, okay? When you stop craving and seeking the butterflies and everything else, and when you start getting to a point where you appreciate stability, that's when you'll experience a love that's calm and one that's not chaotic. And so many of you, I can tell that you're at that point where it's like you're becoming the woman who can handle healthy love and becoming the woman who's ready for it, because of the inboxes and the emails that I'm receiving from women who are like, hey, coach, I need help. I want to work with you. I'm sick of chaotic relationships. I'm sick of toxic men. I'm sick of, the same patterns and the same cycles. When women admit to what the pattern is, when women can acknowledge their triggers, when they can be honest with me about the kind of men that they have allowed to have access to them, that shows that they are on the brink of breakthrough. Another mindset shift would be going from control to collaboration. You can't pray and ask for partnership or a healthy relationship, but you feel as if you still need to be in control. Now, I do know, based on your upbringing or anything like that, there are some people who have control and security as an emotional driver. I've spoken about that before. That's something that I previously had myself, right? I need to be in control. That is how I feel secure. If I am not in control, if I don't feel secure, that's when my anxiety was through the roof. That's when I would start overthinking and all of these things, right? But that don't work in a healthy relationship. It can work in a relationship, but not a healthy one. Kingdom love and partnership, it is about trust, meaning that you are trusting God, you are trusting the process, and you are trusting the man that you chose. Now, if that's something that's hard for you to do, then your issue ultimately is with self-trust. Maybe you're at that point where you don't fully trust yourself. Maybe you haven't forgiven yourself for the things that were done to you, or for the things that you allowed, for the people that you engage with, the people that you were in relationships with. Maybe there's a sign that you need to do some work to trust yourself. And maybe even before that, it's going to be truly doing the inner work so that you can really start that healing process, so that you can be free from the identity struggles, the attachment wounds, the abandonment issues, and things like that. Because a real relationship is going to require you to surrender. Not submission to a man's ego, but surrender to divine, godly order. So, you want to make sure that you are a woman who knows how to be emotionally mature. That's something that we don't see a lot of today. I'm going to be honest, I am that person. When I see certain posts and memes and videos and some of the things that people are sharing and teaching and spreading, and when I look at the amen corner and the comments that are in agreement, I'm like, Lord Jesus, help these emotionally immature people. That is a problem that we really have today, and that is something that is wreaking havoc when it comes to the modern dating scene, especially among Christians, right? So you want to make sure that emotional maturity is something that is present in your life. And here's what that looks like in action. First of all, there's going to be emotional regulation. Do you know how to regulate and control your emotions? It's not about never getting triggered, right? Even if you're on this healing journey, you've started your healing process, even if you say that you are 100% healed, it doesn't mean that you are never going to get triggered, but it is about you being aware of what those triggers are and knowing how to proceed accordingly. It means that you know how to pause before you react. It means you reflect before projecting onto someone else. You learn to separate what's happening in the present from who or what hurt you in the past. Another thing with emotional maturity, I would say, is communication over assumption. Too many people are making a lot of assumptions today. Even sometimes when I see people sharing screenshots of certain conversations and their caption is showing, why they broke up, why, this person ghosted them, why they blocked. And I'll see certain things that someone is assuming, and I'm like, man, just imagine what a simple conversation could have done here. So many relationships end prematurely, all because someone made an assumption. And there are too many people today who are ready and willing to walk before actually having a conversation. That is what emotional immaturity looks like. That shows that someone is emotionally unintelligent. So many people say that they want healthy relationships, but yet they lack basic conflict resolution skills. Emotionally mature women communicate, okay? They don't compete for control. Instead of shutting down or lashing out, it means expressing whatever it is you feel with respect and with clarity, and it ain't easy. That is something that I struggled with in my relationship. It was like, oh my gosh, this whole being vulnerable thing and speaking up and communicating and saying, what I didn't like, what bothered me or anything like that, or how something made me feel. It was so hard to do. It was hard. It was something I never did before because I also used to like to control the way that I was maybe perceived by someone, right? So I had a lot of things that I had to work through, right? But you want to make sure that you get to a point where you don't shut down, you don't ghost, you don't block, you don't lash out, because all of those things, all they do is simply show that you're not ready for a healthy relationship. You have to understand that love cannot read your mind. Men cannot read your mind. That's the last thing that a man can ever do, is read a woman's mind. But love and a healthy relationship and a good man, they can and will only respond to your honesty. Something else when it comes to emotional maturity and action would be accountability instead of blame. It's so easy to say, oh, men are the problem and men today this, and fathers need to raise better sons. But healing, at the root of it all, healing begins when you ask, what's my pattern? What's my issue? Accountability is not about self-blame, it's self-awareness. It's about realizing that you can't control other people. You can only change yourself. You can only change the way that you show up and the way that you respond and the way that you react to things. That is where your power lies, in ownership. In the Power of She course in New Heart Academy, I talk about accessing your assets, knowing your spiritual gifts, knowing your purpose, all of those things, but also realizing the power that you have simply based off of you being a woman. There are divine, godly powers that God Almighty has put inside of women for a purpose. And I wish I would see more women using the power that they have, not even realizing you have the power to shift the atmosphere. You have the power to create your reality. You have the power to obtain what it is you want. It's all about acknowledging the power, accessing it, and using it wisely, okay? Become self-aware. That is the best thing you can do, is become self-aware and spiritually aligned. See, with self-awareness, you can't heal what you're unwilling to confront, okay? Self-awareness is great, and I like walking women through it because it exposes your patterns, not to shame you, because it's not about shame, right? But to equip you. When you know who you are, you stop negotiating your worth. You stop blaming other people. You can take accountability all across the board. I feel like we all need mirrors, right? Like maybe we should just have everyone, like their cell phone, it should have like a mirror as the screen saver. It should be a mirror on the back cover, whatever. We all need some type of mirror so that we can really look deep in ourselves. And even though we can't have the physical mirrors that I'm talking about, sometimes a mirror is just someone that can show up as a coach, maybe a mentor, a friend who can lovingly show you your blind spots, right? I love my best friend. Lord knows that's what we do. We vent and we share our stories about what we said, what we did, how we're feeling. But we always, after we get it all out, talking mad trash about things we really don't feel and things we would never in a million years do, we always make each other accountable. We always be like, all right, now here's the truth. You were dead wrong for that. Okay, so why did you really say it? Why were you really feeling it? What's really going on? How did you play a part in that? We all need mirrors, right? Trying to do anything on your own, even trying to heal in isolation, it rarely works. Because what I know is someone who, I don't profess to be a transformation coach, but people know that in my programs and coaching, I promise transformation. And I know that transformation requires assistance. It requires community. It requires accountability. It requires consistent reflection. There's no way that you can become the best version of yourself in the same environment that broke you. So where do you need to get help? Where do you need accountability? What or who can you have that is going to be that mirror in this season of growth? Because I know that you want a man and I want to help you get a man, right? But before God sends you love, what he is going to do is he is going to develop your capacity to reflect his love. Not the love that other people preach and talk about today, real love, right? And the goal that I think a lot of people miss The goal is not just marriage, it's ministry. The goal is partnership. Every relationship is an opportunity to demonstrate togetherness, to demonstrate grace, patience, true partnership, the whole nine. And if your spirit isn't anchored, if your heart isn't healed, your emotions are always going to lead you. And that is what is going to interfere with you getting what it is that you really want. Spiritual growth is what ensures that you're not just choosing love emotionally. Spiritual growth is going to ensure that you are discerning it, spiritually speaking. So where are you when it comes to being ready for healthy love? Are you ready for healthy love? Is that the kind of love that you are praying for and preparing for? Are you doing what is necessary to get there? Do you know what healthy love is? Do you know what healthy love really looks like? What I can tell you is that healthy love is calm. It is not confusing. It is something that has consistent communication, not constant chaos and pain. It feels like safety, not survival. There are very few things that are better than being with a man that makes you feel safe. It is a completely different feeling and experience. Healthy love doesn't demand that you shrink. It celebrates you growing and glowing. That is the beauty of love that's built on wholeness. It multiplies peace and calmness and all of these different things. And the only way for you to sustain that kind of love is by becoming emotionally available and becoming spiritually ready for it and emotionally ready for it as well. So this is what we do inside of my coaching program. It's where it is where faith meets strategy, where you don't just talk about healing, you live it. It's where women come to actually learn to build up their confidence, discern compatibility, and develop emotional maturity. It's where you stop praying for love to change and you start preparing for you yourself to actually change. Inside NHA, we deal with the heart first, because your heart is what determines your habits. Your heart is what determines your habits. We work through healing. We work through self-love, boundaries, and the strategy to date wisely, all so that you can experience the beauty of real, healthy love. I'm going to be honest with you, entrepreneurship is not always easy. I heard something once before that said every entrepreneur has some type of mental illness, and I think they might be right. It is not for the faint of heart, right? But even those times, I can tell you the times I'm like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. Maybe I'm just going to go and get me an actual job so I can, just be around people, even though I don't really want to be around people. Sometimes you just want to throw in the towel for whatever reason, right? Like I've been doing this 10 years. I can tell many different stories about entrepreneurship. But it's always those moments that I'm feeling like that somebody ends up sending me a DM or an email and is, hey, coach, look. And it's them holding up an engagement ring or showing me a wedding invitation or asking me for my address so that they can mail me a wedding invitation. It's those moments where somebody ends up thanking me for helping them to heal. And now that they're living their best life. The women who are now dating better, dating strategically, the women who now they are the ones who actually have options and they're trying to figure out who to pick, not sitting there sad because no one has picked them. This is why I do what I do. This is why I will continue to do what I do, because I'm here for women like you. I want you to know that you're not behind, you're not broken, you're not unlucky, you're simply becoming, and that is okay. This version of you is learning to love herself well, and that is something that is worthy to be praised. You are becoming the version of yourself who can finally handle healthy love, and that is amazing. God is not delaying love, He's simply developing you. So know that when you do the inner work, you're not going to just attract love, you're going to sustain it. I want you to be able to maintain it, right? So if you're ready to do that work, I'd love to walk beside you. New Heart Academy has a space for you. Let's prepare you for the love that you've been praying for. Or if you know that you need help and don't know where to start, maybe private coaching is what you're wanting, then hey, you can always shoot me a message, or you can always go to www.thenewlovecollective.com/book, and you can book a love transformation meetup session so that we can chat, or you can go ahead and book yourself a session or enroll in something so that we can get started when it comes to your love life. But I want you to realize more than anything, it is time for you to become the woman that the man you're praying for is looking for. And I want you to become the woman who can handle healthy love. So take some time to reflect now that I'm going to shut up. Take some time to ask yourself, where do you need to do better when it comes to accountability? Ask yourself what some of your patterns are. Ask yourself what some of your triggers are. And maybe try to figure out where they came from and what you're willing to do to put an end to them. And of course, if you need help, know that I'm here for you. All right. I love you. God bless you. And I pray that you have a fantastic weekend. I'll talk to you later.